Tour de France, and after that surprise by Steve Bauer, it certainly has put a new look on the overall classification. Just look at this now. Steve Bauer, the Canadian, is way ahead of all of the projected favourites in this year's Tour de France. Raul Alcala from Mexico is in 5th place, but he's almost 10 minutes behind Bauer. Sean Kelly is over 10 minutes back in 8th place. Eric Breukink is 12th. Stephen Roach, 10 minutes 16 seconds back in 20th place. Laurent Fignon, he's 28th, 10 minutes 28 seconds down. Greg LeMond is 34th. Our own Robert Miller is back in 70th place, over 11 minutes back. And Pedro Delgado, the real favourite of this tour, 111th position for him. Well, Delgado doesn't seem to get on too well with the opening days of the Tour de France in these last couple of years. Last year he had a problem with his watch and he lost a lot of time. Yesterday he punctured right out at the start of the stage, and then later on he was in a 15-rider pile-up, and his whole Banesto team had to pace him back into the main field. But there's no doubt about the story of the weekend at Futuroscope. It was Steve Bauer, the Canadian, in that four-man breakaway and gaining all of that time. It now means that today on the stage between Poitiers and Nantes, the 7-11 team are going to have to defend and hopefully try and keep the pack together. Their tactic is simple. Allow no one to escape and make sure that Steve Bauer is looked after. If he punctures, they'll wait for him. If he crashes, they'll give him a bike. The thing is, he must stay in the action. He's worked hard to get the time. Now he wants to keep that leader's yellow jersey. So the stage today, 228 kilometres. It's a long way. It has a height of 210 metres, so it's not very difficult as far as the mountains go. And Steve Bauer will try to defend all the way to the line. And down here at the start, this is Fabio Parra, the Colombian rider who didn't finish the Tour last year, and his teammate Nelson Rodriguez having a little bit of fun and games with the sheep that caused all of the problems with the demonstration yesterday. So the 198 riders rolling away from Poitiers after the weekend here, now heading on the road to Nantes at the very southern end of Brittany. And the first big sprint of the day at Loudun being won here by Olaf Ludwig. He gets a 6 seconds bonus. A good start for Olaf Ludwig, the East German rider. Eric van der Orden second, Adrie van der Poel in third place. And now, after 195 kilometres covered at Montnier, this is Olaf Ludwig, again, who's taking second place here, well clear of Frans Maassen. And Olaf Ludwig, by the way, we're going to follow his fortunes during this Tour de France as a rookie professional, and Gary Imlach will be telling you more about that later on in the programme. But we can go right now and join the leader of the Tour de France today. It is Moreno Argentin of Italy, with a lead over the field of 2 minutes and 45 seconds. He broke clear of the pack today after 51 kilometres to go to end the stage, and he's built this lead of 2 3/4 minutes. As you can see, conditions now have changed dramatically, and the rain is coming down very, very heavily indeed. Argentine ploughing a lone trail, and I would say, Paul, he's probably done the best thing here to get away from the pack. We've already had a fall, which has included Laurent Fignon, who's had to come back to the field just a few miles ago.
Well, ideal on a day like this, a lone breakaway, especially on the run into Nantes, because it is quite dangerous. There are quite a lot of these directional islands they have in France, and it's better to be on your own on a day like this and keep out of trouble. As you can see, the peloton now and again trying to react, but there's still 30 kilometres to go, about 40 minutes probably. It's amazing that there's nobody at the moment in this Tour de France wants to take it by the neck. The situation always arises when you've got so many contenders as we have this year.
And there is the time gap for the man up front, Argentin, 2 minutes 54 seconds, the latest gap now, and he's been building steadily since he broke clear with 51 kilometres remaining. The main field, and you can see them here, and they're solid across the road. Sorry a little bit about these picture breakups, but we are in the wooded area as we approach the Loire. Well, Moreno Argentin has had a tremendous season this year. He was signed by the Italian Ariostia team for a salary of £250,000 this year, and he certainly brought them some reward because he leads the World Cup race. He's also the winner of the Flèche Wallonne this year, and he is going to be defending his lead in the World Cup
the week after the Tour de France finishes in the Wincanton Classic, which is in Brighton, round 7 of the World Cup, and of course Channel 4 will be showing you that. But let's see how he gets on today in the Tour de France. The first day of rain. We started off in high winds for the whole weekend of Futuroscope. Now, as we race up towards the Loire, Paul, and this is the hotbed of cycling here, we're now heading up to the wet weather.
Well, Britain is renowned for its wet weather, and I'm sure Moreno Argentin isn't too worried about that at the moment. All he's worried about is getting into Nantes.
And so as we go back to the field here, we would expect to see some of the Ariostia boys at the front. It looks, Paul, as though they're all up here. All those red jerseys are the teammates of Moreno Argentin, and they are discouraging all of the counter-attacks.
Well, they're at the front there to stop anybody organising a chase. It's a good move. It's putting everybody else off any decision to start. There you can see from the helicopter there are 4 of the Ariostia riders at the front, discouraging anybody to organise the chase. It's amazing that at this stage of the game nobody is organising the chase, because stage victories in the Tour de France, you don't give them away every day. And Argentin, he's not a nobody. He's won a lot of races like this on his own.
And tucked in the second line of riders, you can see the green jersey there of Frans Maassen, and number 66 is Eddie Plankett, who was the winner last time we came to Nantes in the Tour de France, and he would be a man to be reckoned with in the sprint again if it came down to that. But they're allowing at the moment Argentin to go clear. There is still time, but they're running out of it. Number 1 there was Greg LeMond. He's not too far away from the front either. But they're going to have to work very hard as they come down into Nantes to bring back the Flying Italian now. Join us after the break.
Hello again. I'm on the outskirts of Nantes, up ahead of the race at the moment. And before we rejoin it, some news of our chosen rookie for this tour. He's Olaf Ludwig, if you remember, the East German road race champion, now turned professional with Panasonic. And although he may be new to the Tour, at 30 he's a very experienced rider, and also a very good one. Ludwig marked his arrival in the world of lucrative contracts and $300 sunglasses by winning the first 2 stages of the American Tour de Trump in May. In the prologue time trial to the Tour de France, he recorded a solid 8 minutes 28, but wasn't setting too much store by it.
This was only the prologue, for me not more than a warm-up, but I confess, today I was not in the best shape, so I'm hopeful for the next days.
And he was right to be. On the Tour's first day proper, Olaf led the pack in the final sprint to take 7th place in the morning stage, and in the afternoon helped Panasonic to the day's fastest team time trial. Going into today's stage, Olaf Ludwig was lying a very respectable 65th, 11 minutes and 25 seconds behind Steve Bauer. He's certainly capable of improving on that, and with his sprinting ability, he'll be disappointed not to take at least one stage win in this Tour. For the latest news of those in contention for this stage as it approaches Nantes, back to the action.
And out on the road of the Tour, 11 riders are trying to break clear of the field. As Louvio goes on the far side of the road, the new French champion, Eddie Plankett, tries to take his wheel. There's about 11 riders in this breakaway, and they've got something like 30 seconds over the field. And Moreno Argentin, who had a lead of 4 minutes, is now down to 3 minutes and 45 seconds. We're about 16 kilometers from the line. 85 in this group is Ron Kiefel. And sitting near the back too, number 148 is Wilfred Peters from the Belgian Histor team of Stephen Roach. There are no serious contenders in here for Steve Bauer's yellow jersey, of course, and that will be why there'll be no instant reaction from the 7-11 team in the field. The policeman from the 7-11 team up here is Ron Kiefel. There's Eric van der Arden. 188, Philippe Louvio, a new man now. He's pulled on the tricolour jersey of national champion of France, a title he won 1 week before this race began. So Olaf Ludwig, who has done very, very well today in the interim sprints, has made a mistake in missing this move. This is Argentin here. There's confirmation of the gap. We're crossing the River Loire, the longest river in France. And Argentin is now heading on for his circuit of Nantes, which is some 6 kilometers before he hits the finishing line. And confirmation that those 11 chasers have built up a gap of 27 seconds over the main field. Not a lot, but at least they're trying to bring back Argentin. Here they are. Well, this sort of move, I feel bound had to come, Paul. There's always the riders who will take the risk.
Well, there are always one or two who will take the risk. You notice there are none of the big heads of the Tour de France here. Delgado, the people that are expecting to win overall, they'll be back in the bunch where it's a little bit safer. They won't be taking too many risks. And these boys in this front group, they would take their lives into their hands to try and get away. With a bit of luck, they'll try and catch Moreno Argentin, but I think he's really gone today. He's got such a good lead at the moment, and it's all inside the town now, and it's going to be very difficult to pull him back.
Well, there's Adriano Baffi looking over his shoulder there. He is the teammate of the Aliostia leader, Argentin. He won't be doing any of the pace-making. He'll just be getting in the way of the chase a little bit in this group as the teammate. And with him, number 184 there was Yellow-Nidan. This is Luvio, who started this move and is very anxious to keep it going. An attack now by Musier.
Musier getting a little bit of help from the motorbike there. That quite often takes place if the motorbike gets in the way.
As Musier moves clear. As far as we know, the crash I was telling you about earlier with Laurent Fignon, they are all safely back in the main field, but they had to chase to rejoin in these conditions. It was a bad time to go down so near the finish. The main field were moving along quite quickly. Argentin isn't doing too badly either, because now he is traversing Nantes. It's a big circuit around the city before they come down to the finishing line. And this chase, Paul, is not organised. This is why we're getting all this sprinting off the front.
Well, it's not organised at all. You can see in the front, just in the far distance, you can still see Johan Museau, who's jumped away, and nobody behind wants to organise any chase, but everybody wants to be with him. So you get 2 or 3 riders will leap away from this group. They'll find that they've got 1 or 2 riders sitting behind them. They'll sit up. Then the same thing will happen again. You don't get any fluid motion. There you've got Eric van der Arden sat in there comfortably. Philippe Luvio going through again.
Oh, van der Arden. Luvio is doing most of the work in this group. Van der Arden now puts his head down. Good sign, he's going to give it a go to try and pick up this leader from that breakaway group. Let's have a look who it is. It's still Johan Musier. And they are now 10 kilometres from the line. So Musier trying to draw the sting and try and get these riders to react to the situation. Very nasty bend, that one in the wet today.
See how he was taking his time going around that corner, because those white bands are so dangerous, and in fact he's taken so much time that the group have now come back to him. We're going to expect to see somebody else trying to jump away now.
Jan Goossens goes by him first, Van der Arden, Luvio. We go back further ahead, deep into the heart of the city in the south of Brittany, right on the River Loire. Normally it's a lovely place to be, but I'm afraid, as you can see, it's extremely wet today.
Looks as if Nydam's got a problem there. Looking at his back wheel, he may well have punctured. Big problem on a day like this when it is very wet. Brings all the flints down onto the road. The tyres pick up the flints, and there you are, you've got a puncture. Johan Museau going away again there as we get another time check, and it's down to 3 minutes 30, but it's still very good for Moreno Argentin.
The bottle gone sailing through the air. One of the riders is thrown off. Jets in the tanks before they start their race towards the finish. Well, the way this group is going, they're going to split up completely shortly, and the stragglers will be picked up by the big field as they go through the city, but they're getting something going now. This is Jan Goossens, the back of these two. Ron Kiefel is in the middle, and I think we're going to find this is Eric van der Arden here. It is indeed. So van der Arden on the far right. Kiefel now dashing across to grab the wheel of Jan Goossens. Look at the crowd here now, Paul, in Nantes. This is the hotbed of cycling where you've ridden many times yourself.
Well, the riders just coming into Brittany now, the very southern Brittany, but Nantes and Brittany itself are the real centres of cycling in France. 3 kilometres to go there now for Moreno Argentin. He must be getting the time check still from his team manager, who'll be right behind him, and it'll be pretty tough to see that 3 kilometres to go. He's still got 3 minutes lead. And unless anything drastic happens to him, there's no chance of him getting caught there. But it looks actually, Phil, as if Argentin has had a crash earlier on in the day there, because he's short to it and there's blood all over them. But that may be the reason why he had tried to attack earlier on. So he could...
To the start this morning, we certainly didn't hear anything of him crashing in the last 2 hours of the race, but clearly the indications there, he has been on the floor. But I would think that the pleasure of victory will wipe away the pain of the day. And these are 3 leader Goosens here, Philippe Louvio, and Louvio is going to have another little dig. He's worked well to get this breakaway away. He's worked well enough to take second place, but he'll have to rid himself of some of the sprinters, and Jelle Nijdam is up into second place there at the minute.
Well, it looks as if Nijdam didn't have any problems there because he's still back in that group, and he wouldn't have got back if he'd had a puncture. But back at the front here with Moreno Argentin, he's coming up to the finish now. I think this will probably be 2 kilometres to go. He's got about 2.5 minutes to go before he can get that victory from going straight across there with I think that was Jose Rodriguez from the Seo team. Baffy brings the group back up again. And they're 4 kilometres to finish. So there's 2 kilometres between this group and Moreno Argentin.
Jelle Nijdam. This race, this group behind has been splitting up, and there's been nobody pulling the weight at all. They've just been trying to get away individually. Eddie Plankett, the winner of Paris-Roubaix, who pipped Steve Bauer by 1 millimetre. That was the official gap on the photo finish back in April, and Bauer now taking something of his revenge as again an attack on the far side of the road.
Another rider going clear there. We can't quite see who he is, but this is going to be the way the race will go the last couple of kilometres for this group. They'll be attacking. Everybody will want to try and get away on his own because it's so risky to leave it to the sprint, especially with there being so many good sprinters in this group.
Well, they're sticking like glue to each other despite all of the counter-attacks. One man has tried to slip away. I think it's Philippe Louvio who's gone again. His only chance is to try and go on his own. And now we go back to Moreno Argentin, who's now only about 2 kilometres away, if that, from the first ever stage victory for him in his first ever Tour de France. And that seems surprising when you think he turned professional at the end of 1980, and he's never come to the Tour de France before, but he's won just about everything else. He's been the world champion as well. And so Moreno Argentin heading down towards the finish now. A little glance over his shoulder, just making sure. Time today, not so important for him. He's thinking more of the overall. We're looking at Baffy on the far side at the moment. Same team as Argentin. He's been swamped away. First man to him there was Johan Musier. And they're going to keep him nicely under control. But they're a long way behind the rider who's coming up to the finish here. He's now just over 400 metres to go. And Moreno Argentin, a long time in the saddle today, second longest day of the Tour de France, 5 3/4 hours. He's putting his glasses on. Well, I can tell him now, the sun isn't out where I'm sitting, and he's coming up towards the finish. First ever Tour de France, and he hasn't waited long for his first stage victory. Moreno Argentin, leader of the World Cup, ex-world champion, gets the stage win today, and a very nice round of applause from the very wet crowd here on the finishing line. The clock now counting down the gap, and it's going to be a while, I think, some 2.5 minutes at least, before this group comes home to the finish. Ron Kiefel driving on the group. The teammate is Steve Bauer, but not one rider in the group is going to worry him too much. And so the whole field have swept up those 11. It's confirmed now as we come into the home straight. Christophe Leven is the rider who is won today, but he gets second place, and coming very quickly up behind him there too. And not too far off the pace was Uwe Raab, the East German rider, and also not too far away either. I think you'll find that we have Olaf Ludwig. The whole field over the line. Uwe Raab, the points winner in the Tour of Spain. Let's have a look at that again. Second place in the bunch, of course. Argentin is over. There's Leven, who is second. Raab, and I think that's Ludwig there. Sean Kelly, too, had a good finish. So let's confirm the result of the day then. A win for Moreno Argentin in his first Tour de France with a gain of over 2 minutes over Christophe Leven. Uwe Raab in third place, and Olaf Ludwig taking the fourth place there. The King of the Mountains, by the way, that will still stay with the Italian rider Claudio Chiappucci. Overall, there's no dramatic changes at all. Steve Bauer keeps the yellow jersey from Franz Massen, Ronan Pensek and Chiappucci. But Argentin moves up a little bit. So that's it for the moment. We can now go down and have a chat with Steve Bauer, who's with Paul Sherwin.
Steve, a good day defending the jersey today.
Yeah, Maston, he only took 2 seconds in one bonus sprint, so, I mean, still have 8 seconds on him, so I still have the jersey.
So how do you think it's going to go for the next few days?
Probably similar, you know, some aggressive racing. I think there's going to be all this attacks and breakaways going down the road, and, you know, as long as our team's represented, I think that's the most important thing. You know, I'll try to keep close to Maston, you know, if he tries the bonuses, and keep defending the jersey that way.
So the tactics of the team, you're not too worried if little groups go away like that today?
Well, no, not really. It's good. I think we were pretty well represented most of the time in the breakaways. You know, I was in the very first one, and Andy was in a breakaway that was important, and then Ron Kiefel was in that last breakaway that got caught before the finish. So we rode a good race.
Well, it's on a day like this, you know, when the rain comes down, the race leaders are nervous, and Steve Bauer will be quite happy tonight that he's not been troubled really on a good day for him. So he keeps that yellow jersey. A little bit of history too tonight in the Tour de France, because Olaf Ludwig becomes the first East German rider ever to lead this race in the points section. And of course, as you know, we're following him every day, so we'll have some nice stories